Perfect. Okay, good morning. This is Raymond Habel with Cornerstone Syndicates. I have here with me the amazing Tim Davis, who has a wealth of experience in the real estate space with property management, over 500 doors now with property management. Also written two books about wealth and property management. So Tim, I know I didn't do your intro justice. Please elaborate and tell people who you are and what you do.
Well, thanks, Raymond. I appreciate that. So yeah, my name is Tim Davis. I've been actively a real estate investor probably for close to 30 years. Actually, I bought my first, maybe 40 years. I bought my first rental property when I was 18.
Oh, wow.
And so I kind of I enjoyed the opportunity to collect rent. And it was kind of a fluke the way I got that first property, but it kind of got me hooked. And so I started studying how to buy property. Didn't have any money, so I had to learn some of those tricks on how to buy real estate without any money down.
There we go.
I did learn those tricks, and I did some pretty large deals without any money down.
Wow.
And I went through several things during the early part of my life, and I was also a general contractor during that time, and got up to the crash of 2008, where I basically lost everything. Had to start from scratch. So in 2009, I actually got a real estate license and began to sell real estate because friend of mine said, well, you've always been buying real estate. Why don't you help other people buy it? So I thought, well, that's a good idea.
Usually it's the other way around. Usually you get your license and help them sell and realize owning the real estate's where it's at.
Yeah. Well, I had already owned quite a bit of real estate before that, before the crash. And so afterwards, somebody suggested that I get the license. And I really needed something to do because I had lost my business. I had lost everything.
Oh, yeah.
And I needed some way to earn some money. So I said, you know what? That's not a bad idea. Real estate license is pretty easy to get in the state of Florida. And so I got the license and started to help other people buy real estate.
Awesome.
And so after a little while, I decided I would start the property management company. This was in 2010.
Okay.
And then I started acquiring property again. Since I had done it before, I was able to know how to do it again. I mean, I went through bankruptcy and everything, so I had to use private lenders. I had to use seller financing, all the creative ways to get real estate. So,
exactly.
So over the last 10, 12 years now, I've built up a really nice portfolio of my own. We have three real estate offices. I have a lending business. I have a fix and flip business, and then my own portfolio. So real estate's been pretty good to me. And
sounds like you've had the experience in general contracting, property management, and sales, plus lending. At this point, the only thing you're not doing is insurance. You gonna start one of those anytime soon?
Hey, you know what? I've never seen an insurance company go out of business, so I don't know. That's not a bad idea.
Well, let's drill down a little bit. Let's talk about that first property. You're 18 years old, and of course, you probably did it not knowing anything about real estate. So tell me about it. How was that first deal, and how'd that get you hooked into real estate?
So my dad, he is a retired Assembly of God minister.
Oh, wow.
And he, at the time when I got married real young. I actually dropped out of high school at 16. I got married at 16, had my first kid at 17.
Wow.
And my father had this one gentleman in his congregation who was a real estate investor. And my father was intrigued by it. So he asked questions, and so the guy turned him on to a deal. It
Hmm.
was a single family house with a lot that you could park a mobile home on.
Okay.
And so my dad bought this single family. It was his first attempt at being a real estate investor. So he buys this single family house with
Hmm.
the vacant lot next to it. And I was just married, had a young kid, and we needed a place to go. So he
Mm.
helped me to buy a mobile home, and we
Oh,
stuck
really?
this mobile home on that lot. And so we're living in the mobile home on the lot, and then he had the house next door rented.
And where's this
And
at the time?
this is in Lakeland, Florida.
Okay, in Florida. Got it.
Yeah, where I live right now. And so anyways, I'm living in the house or living in the mobile home, and my dad ran into some tax issues
Hmm.
with because of being a minister. There are certain tax things that he could do and couldn't do. And when it came time to pay his taxes the next year, because of the rental property, it kind of threw him into some kind of different tax basis.
Oh.
And as funny thing about it is he didn't have the money to pay the taxes,
Hmm.
and he had become tired of being a landlord.
Oh.
It only took him a year.
Yeah.
So he asked me, he said, yeah, he came to me and he said, hey, if you want to pay the taxes, you can take over this property,
Really?
and
Oh, that's
I'll
incredible.
let you own it, and then you can rent it out. And I said, I kind of like that idea.
Yeah.
So
You're living next door anyways.
I actually moved into the single family house,
Oh, really?
and we
Did
started
okay.
rent. Yeah, we started renting out the mobile home,
Wow.
and that was my first taste of getting monthly rent payments.
Mm, yes.
And I was paying the mortgage for the whole property at this time,
Hmm.
so it was working out. And from that point on, I started studying real
Okay.
estate, and started studying different books and looking at all
Hmm.
kinds of ways to get into that. And so it didn't take me long. I had started buying other properties, and
Wow.
by the time I was probably when I was about 30 years old, I had several rentals, and I had a property that I ended up selling. It was a commercial property. I bought
Oh,
a
wow.
commercial property with $0 down. It was an $800,000 piece of property.
Holy
That's what I
smokes.
paid for it, but it was
Yeah.
zero down, and I kept it and operated it. It was like a commercial warehouse
Okay.
space with a bunch of different tenants in it.
Hmm.
And I owned and operated that for 5 years, and then turned around and sold it for $1.5 million. And
Oh my goodness.
that was
Wow.
I was about 30, probably 33 years old when that happened.
And was that the first real estate big paycheck at the time? Was that
Yeah,
that?
yeah, that was the first time I ever saw a $250,000 check, because I did
Wow.
carry back a mortgage. I carried back a second mortgage on it,
Okay.
which I ended up cashing in. I sold the note to a guy just before the bottom fell out, and I lost
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, exactly. So moral of the story is you don't need 20% down. You don't need to be approved by a bank, and you don't need to have good credit to do this thing called real estate.
No, no, I learned early on. It was just it's a relationship
Hmm.
business, and if you can build a relationship with someone, they trust you, they'll sell you their real estate without cash, you
Yeah.
know,
Wow.
and
Well, I would love to drill down into that commercial piece, but before I do, y- I mean, this at the beginning of your period, you were busy. You were a new dad. You're shoot 17, 18 years old with your honey at the time, renting this place out, being a landlord. I imagine that wasn't paying all of your bills. So what were you doing on top of that? Did you have a job as well?
yeah, yeah. So I've always, since the time I was 15, yeah, 15 years old, I was working with a contractor. So I
Okay.
learned how to be a really good trim carpenter. I ended up being a real good trim carpenter
Oh, wow.
and could do all kinds of stuff. So I had the skills to do that, which helped me to build a business. I had a huge remodeling business before the crash.
Wow.
We were doing about $4 million worth of remodeling every year.
Oh my
And
goodness.
yeah, so it was a good business, but I built that business from scratch. It took me
Yeah.
about 20 years to get there. But
Mm-hmm. Oh my. So,
yeah,
so
that's what paid the bills until I could get the real estate to where it could pay the bills. So
yeah, exactly. So unpack this warehouse deal. Tell me a little bit about it and how you were able to get it with no cash down.
okay. So I was reading a book by Robert Allen.
Mm-hmm.
This is way back in the 90s. The book, I think it's called No Money Down. And so I took his advice. One of the things that he said in there was, if you're interested in buying a commercial piece of property, ask your landlord when he wants to sell the real estate to you. So
Oh, really?
yeah, so I was renting space in this
Mm-hmm.
warehouse for my construction business,
Okay.
and I had known the landlord over probably a year or two, and every once a month he would come out and he'd put like a bill on your door.
Mm-hmm.
And he was probably in his early 70s at the time. And I went to him one day and I asked him, I said, his name was Herb Odom. I said, Mr. Odom, when are you going to sell me this business? I did just what Robert Allen said.
Wow.
I said, when are you going to sell me this building? That's
Yeah.
what I said. And it was the funniest thing. Mr. Odom looked at me and he said, when you're ready to buy it, I'm ready to sell it.
Really?
And I said, okay.
Wow.
And so we started negotiating the
Yeah.
terms. And I told him, I said, I don't have any money to put down.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, that's okay. He said,
Wow.
here's how much I want. I want $850,000 for
Mm-hmm.
it. It was a 24,000 square foot warehouse with 11 acres.
Oh, really?
And
Wow.
and he said, I want 800 and I think it was 850,000.
Mm-hmm.
And so then he gave me all the numbers for the rents that were coming in, and I did the math and I said, here's what I can pay you
Mm-hmm.
every month. And we kind of worked out the details, and I was able to buy it with no money down.
Wow.
And I made payments for 5 years, because he did put in a prepayment penalty, because if I
Oh,
paid
okay.
him off early, then he would have to have some extra tax money.
Yeah. So let
So
me just pause you there. It sounds to me you obviously had to do owner financing with him. What did he want as a down payment? Did he ask for no down payment or did he
yeah,
take a second? Wow.
no
Okay.
down payment. It was a straight purchase with seller financing,
That's
100% seller
amazing.
financing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Because he knew you, he liked you, and he trusted you.
absolutely. Yeah, that was the whole deal. It was about a relationship, and he was tired of being a landlord. So
Exactly. It sounded like he want what we call mailbox money.
yeah.
Wow. So
Yeah.
you were just about to say the 5 years. Did you have a balloon payment at the end of that, or how did that look like?
No, it wasn't. There was no balloon, but
Wow.
there was a prepayment penalty if I paid him off within the 5 years. And I
Okay.
it was very interesting. I had to structure this very carefully because
Hmm.
I actually sold it about 4 months early
Really?
from the 5 year penalty, which would have been a
Wow.
$50,000 hit.
Oh yeah.
So what I had to do, the guy that was buying it from me was from California.
Hmm.
He had a 1031 exchange. He identified my
Oh
property.
yeah.
I ended up having to do uh, a wraparound mortgage.
Yes.
So I got experience doing a wraparound
Oh
because
my gosh.
I didn't
What
want to
they
pay the
don't
50.
allow you to do anymore, by the way.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I know.